Hello and welcome to the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now today's episode is the first in a series of 5 specials dedicated to the Liquid Death Presents Download Festival. This past weekend I was lucky enough to attend as press with Mark and Me podcast and my best friends Darren Wolf and Scott Higgins to record as many interviews as I could for you guys at home, and I hope I've done you proud. Over the next 5 days, you're going to get a brand new episode each and every day featuring 3 bands that played at the Download Festival. I do honestly believe I've recorded some of my best interviews that I've ever done, and it's been the most successful event that I've ever been to in the history of Mark and Me. It really has been an incredible 3 days. Even though it rained and the next minute it was completely sunny, I'd be standing there asking to put my cagoule on and then suddenly needing sun cream. This didn't take anything away from the atmosphere. It was unbelievable. The lineup had such a variety of bands, and I do believe it now caters for everyone. And I was lucky enough to see some incredible performances over the weekend. But most of the time I was there backstage recording interviews with my friends. I got to see so many people that I love within photography, other podcasts, especially Sappening. Those guys were my next door neighbours and I absolutely love Sean and Morgan. I got to see some amazing band management, all the incredible bands, the PR people, and it was just honestly 3 days of complete and utter bliss. On today's episode, you're going to be hearing interviews from the bands Callous Daoboys, Health, and the incredible Royal Blood. I honestly can't wait to share these with you, and what I want to do now is to get straight to it. So first up, we have Maddie and Carson from the amazing Callous Daoboys. I'm here today with Maddie and Carson. Both of you, welcome to the Mark and Me podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much
having
for
us.
having us.
Yeah.
What I love to do with every guest that comes on the podcast is take it right back to the very start. So what I'm really interested in, both of you, when you were growing up, what was that first album that you remember buying, maybe with your pocket money, that made you fall in love with music?
Ooh. I feel like this is a cliche answer, but it's probably Dookie by Green Day.
An amazing album.
Yeah. No, that's everybody's introduction, I feel like. But that was like, yeah, I scraped together allowance money and bought a used copy from FYE, and that been downhill since.
I was going to say, they'd never, for me, I love Green Day, but that album is just pure, every song could be a single.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
For sure.
Is yours as good as Green Day, or is that
Mine's kind of weird, I guess. Mine's The Ugly Organ by Cursive.
Wow, that's a great album.
My dad had the single from that record, like, downloaded on an iPod, and he was like, well, you should go buy the CD. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I think we went to, like a CD warehouse, and I bought it, like, I don't know, maybe a year after it had come out or something like that. And he was like, yeah, you got to support them. They're like a small band. And I like didn't know what that meant at all. I was like, what is a small band, you know? But yeah, that's the first one I got. I love that record to this day too.
Live music changed for me, and even though I've done this podcast many times, the listeners will be sick of me saying this, but I have to mention it. Green Day on their tour for Dookie, I was lucky enough to see that, and I was only like 14 years old.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow.
And it blew my mind. I was like, I want to be in Green Day, I want to do this. It blew my mind.
Of course.
What was your introduction to live music? If it's embarrassing and it isn't as cool, be honest, tell me, like, what's the bands that you remember, you know, when they shake your rib cage and you get the hairs on your neck sticking up and you're like, I want to do what these guys are doing?
Ooh. Introduction to live music, probably got to shout out our hometown venue, the Masquerade, because I grew up going. We play shows there now, but I grew up going to shows there. Like starting when I was 13, I would go to like some local battle of the bands, and then I was a teenager in like 2012 when like Man Overboard, The Story So Far, and The Wonder Years were all kind of like starting to break out.
That's amazing.
So I got to that was such a cool era of music, but like that was probably when I started really going to shows. I started going to those like breakout pop punk shows, and like they're still playing like less than 500 cap rooms and whatnot, and the shows were wild, and That was probably my introduction to going to shows and live music.
I mean, that's hell of a good start. I think that's like the foundations there are great.
Yeah, no, those are all great bands. None of them were like doing fancy shows. It was just about the music and like having big energy. So yeah, what was yours?
The earliest for me, I saw Manchester Orchestra play a festival set.
Wow.
In 2011. And, like, I had seen some cool shows before that. I had seen, like, maybe, like, Foo Fighters, and I think my dad took me to see Peter Frampton.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Cool.
Wow.
And,
as a dad does.
Yeah, definitely a dad band. But, Manchester Orchestra was the first time where I was like, oh, I can do this. Like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah.
Manchester Orchestra, I've had them on the podcast, and I truly believe they're one of the best live bands I've ever seen.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
Like those and Thrice are my two favourites to go and see. I'm like, they work really well together and they tour a lot together.
Yeah, for sure.
And the way they've evolved as a band, like Radiohead, like Paramore, like Thrice, is fucking unbelievable. And I love the way that they're like, they can strip back their songs to just literally an acoustic, and it still sounds as powerful.
Still as powerful, yeah. I mean, they're my favorite band.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, I love them to death.
Luckily, they're playing in the UK at 2,000 Trees in the summer.
Oh,
I
nice.
saw that.
And they're headlining, so it's going to be
Amazing.
absolutely awesome.
They're going to kill that.
I don't know where you go after Manchester Orchestra. I'm kind of like, in my head, I'm like, how do you top that as a first show? Like, you're never going to top it.
I've seen them 21 times now.
Wow.
Oh, wow, really?
He is a real fan.
I counted at the last stuffing. I was like, oh, wow, that's a
crazy.
lot of times to see them. They're kind of the only live band that has ever lived up to it. You know, I kind of have to go see them every 2 years or so to just remind myself why I play music, you know.
That's amazing, guys. And how does it feel today to be here at the weekend of Download? I think, looking at the lineup, the poster, you must be like, this is fucking awesome. Like, this is so good.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, I think Carson and I probably once a week when we're on tour have to be like, whoa, it's crazy. We started this as a joke. And
yeah, I mean, it happened last night in London where I was like, dude, like...
We played a crazy show in London. It was just like a couple tickets short of selling out, and like everybody knew the words and everybody was hype, and we were just like, oh my God, I can't believe we're in London right now and we're playing this today. It's kind of crazy.
In the band we started in my stupid living room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have to kind of take a step back every now and then and just be like pinching yourself? Like, it's good that you're aware of it, because some bands, it happens so quickly that you can't even, you're too involved on the inside. It's to try and take a step back and be like, look how far we've come in such a short space of time.
I think we've been really good about like remembering to be grateful for all of this. And
I think you need it too.
And don't get me wrong, reality still gets us a little bit. It's
for
not
sure.
like we're like, totally made it or whatever. So there's still sometimes that real life hits us like doing this, and that we have to sacrifice some stuff to be here and whatnot. But we wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing to be the opening act on the smallest like band on a huge festival like this. It's incredible.
It's the coolest. It's the coolest.
Yeah.
I love how humble you both are and kind of how grateful you are for what you've got. Like, you don't ever take it for granted, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I try not to, man. I try not to get jaded either.
I think I was like such a fan of this for such a long time that it is just like, it's so crazy to be on the other side of it. I just always thought that I'd be in the audience the whole entire time. To get to be on stage even a little bit, it's crazy.
Yeah, I thought I'd sell software for a living.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool to be doing this instead.
Yeah, anything to get out of the 9 to 5 grind is always a winner.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you guys be completely truthful with me? Do you guys get nervous? Do you kind of look at the crowd out there and think, look at the poster, look at these bands, like, we need to warm up, we need to get on there,
I'm
we need to hit it
right now.
Yeah?
Dude. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think it didn't hit me that this.
I'm gonna make you more nervous now by doing this interview.
No,
like,
you're fine.
why are you not into?
Are you nervous? You get nervous to play?
Are you getting nervous?
Why are you
Are you
not
nervous right
nervous?
now? You look nervous.
Yeah, you should be way
Everyone
more
can
nervous.
tell. Everyone's looking at
Make
you.
him have an anxiety attack.
Stop.
Live on the podcast, an anxiety attack.
No, I mean, it didn't occur to me until today. I was like, oh shit, there's like 1 million people here.
Yeah, there's
today.
so
I
many
just
people
wasn't
here.
like, I was like, yeah, whatever, it's a festival. Sometimes you play a festival and you're like, yeah, there's 100,000 people that are like looking at you, but they're not paying that close of attention. And then someone will post a video of you like online afterwards, and you're like, oh shit,
There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
they caught me doing something stupid, making a dumb face.
Missing a note.
Yeah, missing a note. Like, I stepped weird. I tripped on a cable, and all those people saw it. Yeah, no.
What I do on the podcast, guys, to try and keep it as original as I can,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put you on the spot, but what I do after today's interview is edited, each of you get to choose a track that's played in between the interviews, so it can be any song by any band in the history of music, so I'm making it really, really easy for you.
Cool.
Okay.
What's the song, when I ask you, that came to your heart and your soul before any other song that you want to be played out after your part today? And you're not allowed to pick your own band.
Return to Pooh Corner by Kenny Loggins.
Wow. Fucking, I was not expecting that.
I love that song.
No, that's a very Carson answer.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel, since I mentioned Dookie at the top, I think I'm gonna have to say She.
I love the bass line to that.
Yeah, I have a little like hand-poked tattoo of the word "she" on me because I just like.
You are a real fan.
I am a real fan. And that's gonna have to be the song I'll pick.
Not as big as Cody from Boundaries, who has Green Day as knuckle tats.
We met a guy with Green Day on his knuckles, his tats.
Wow.
Yeah,
Hard
Cody,
as fuck.
Cody, who plays in the band Boundaries, has that.
I'm
Shout
trying to
out
think. So is it like
Boundaries.
Gree, and then it
And
goes
then
over?
N-Day.
So it's like N-Day.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, who the fuck are N-Day?
Yeah. That was funny.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Guys,
But-
thanks for coming on the podcast. Have you guys got any plans to come back to the UK anytime soon? Or
Nope, never.
Nothing. This is it. Now or never.
Yeah, never again.
Yeah. Maybe.
See
we
what
kinda-
happens.
Yeah.
Maybe
we,
festivals.
We have
and-
stuff in the works.
We-
Yeah.
Stuff in the works.
You're teasing me now. Like you're telling me there's something, but not enough.
The agents, they still got to cook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
The suits got to talk to the
they're-
suits.
Yeah. You'll know. You'll know when you know.
Okay. Well, when you guys come back,
We will be back.
I will come and see you guys, and we'll sit
Absolutely.
down and we'll do a longer interview, and we'll have more time, and it won't be
Yeah.
as wet, and it won't be as busy.
Well, sweet.
But
It'll still be this wet. As long as we're in the UK, it'll
Yeah,
be
of
this
course.
wet.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
are you going to get to kind of stay around this weekend and see other bands, or is it in today, out tomorrow?
We're
we
in
have a show in Glasgow tomorrow.
Glasgow.
So. Glasgow?
What did you call it? Glasgow?
No one's corrected me.
No, everybody has. Carson doesn't use social media, but posted like a little like promoting video for our Glasgow show.
Oh, whoops.
And sent
He's from
Glasgow.
Scotland.
All the comments are like, Glasgow!
I'm Scottish. Don't get mad.
Yeah.
You're not Scottish.
He will murder you.
I'm just trying. I'm trying to get out of it. Why are you doing this to
She's
me?
letting you drown right now.
She always does
So
this.
you're playing in Glasgow tomorrow, yeah?
Yeah,
Yes, we
tomorrow.
do, yeah.
I hope it
But-
goes well.
Thank you. We're
It'll be
excited.
awesome,
It's
yeah.
already sold out, so we're
That's amazing.
ready for it.
Yeah.
Well,
It'll
I
be
hope
awesome.
I hope you have a great day today.
Thank
You've
you so
kicked over
much.
water. Look at this.
No, I'm making a mess.
But it's liquid death.
It is.
So it's all good.
Yeah.
Liquid Death Tent
Sponsored.
sponsored.
There you go.
There's the
Send us
plug
lots
for
of
you.
cans. Guys, thanks for coming on. I appreciate your
Thank
time.
you so much
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for having us.
So there's my first interview with the Callous Daoboys. What a great band, so positive, and just a great interview, and the perfect start for these podcast specials. Next up, I'm joined by a band that are really starting to get a great name for themselves. This is Johnny from the amazing band Health. I'm here with Johnny from Health. Welcome to the Mark and Me podcast.
Hi, Mark.
What I love to do with all guests that come on the podcast is basically take it right back to the start. I'm always intrigued, when you were growing up, what was that first album you bought that made you fall in love with music?
So I didn't even understand music until I got I hear the oldie station and stuff, and
Yeah.
I was into it, but I didn't really care. An older friend sent me a cassette tape, and one side was Dead Kennedys mixtape, and on the other side was the Sonic Youth mixtape.
Wow.
And then I was about 4 songs. I didn't get the Sonic Youth side at all at first, and then
No.
I was listening to Dead Kennedys. About song 4, I was like, why do I feel like I want to break shit? I feel crazy right now. And then from that, I was like, oh fuck, this is music. I fucking love music. How does this work? You know?
Sonic Youth is one of the bands for me when I was growing up that took time. I wasn't instantly like, I love Smashing Pumpkins, Bush, Green Day. Those bands hit me straight away.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a slow burn. But then once I got it and I heard those guitar tones and I heard the melodies, I was like, Sonic Youth is now in my veins, and I'm like absolutely loving everything they've ever done.
It's totally brilliant. It's just when you first hear it as a kid, you're like, this guy can't sing at all.
Yeah, and then suddenly you're like,
yeah, it's brilliant.
Something happens. But what about live music? So can you remember the first gig you went to?
So my first show, so I grew up in San Diego, California, slim pickings for shows, and all the shows we wanted to go through were 21 up. So the first show I actually finally got to go to was fucking Fish.
Wow.
And we were not Fish fans, but we knew we could buy drugs. So
I love the honesty here.
Once we ate a bag, and we're like, Fish is incredible.
Yeah, this
and
is the
I loved
best
it.
music.
I went home, I bought the CD, I put it on. I'm like, this is fucking terrible. What the hell?
More drugs.
Yeah, I was high as hell.
Yeah.
So that was from there. I really started enjoying shows though. Was going to like the Che Cafe in San Diego and the Smell in Los Angeles. These DIY, more punk spaces with. That was the best shows. Smaller shows are just better, honestly. And they're rowdy and crazy, and that's how we came up in that scene from there too.
Yeah. How did Hell form? Because I don't know your whole backstory. Was it a case of like hanging around and meeting some like-minded people that you grew up with?
No, I moved to LA, and I was really obsessed with this scene based on the Smell. I'd been going to shows when I was in high school, driving up from San Diego.
Yeah.
And I was like, we got it. So, funny enough, I actually worked at Guitar Center Hollywood
Nice.
with the singer. And I was playing some weird music on the stereo, and he walked up. He's like, "Hey, man, you're not a douchebag. Do you want to be in a band?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "You play bass, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, fuck, that's perfect. Like we could make a band." I'm like, "Oh yeah, let's do it." So that was the start of it. And I was really hip to the scene. I'm like, "Guys, we need to make a band that can join this scene. This is what I want to do." And they're like, "All right, fine, sure, let's do it."
Where does it kind of start for you with your expectations of the band? Do you have like, you want to headline festivals? Do you want to be on the main stage? Do you have this goal with the band, or are you just happy with what comes your way and kind of enjoy what happens?
With music, whatever your desire is, once you get it, you want the next thing.
Yeah.
And we never planned to be a band this long, and our first ambitions were only to just do a tour and release like a 7-inch vinyl. And we got more success in your planning, and then you stand too long, you're like, oh fuck, I can't get a job now. And then you're like, wait a second, I'm old. And like now you're just, I don't know, we're still here. So you're always like, I mean, I'll take whatever I can get. I'm into all of it.
Yeah.
It's still great. It's still fun. And this is new. This is our first time playing Download, but we've played totally different style festivals and different genres. So we've had a very long, strange career.
Do you feel nervous playing Download with the amount of bands? No.
No. It's funny. Every time we played, we went to like Brutal Asshole or Brutal Assault. Sorry.
Yeah.
And that's like extreme metal festival, and they're like, oh, they're gonna hate us. They're gonna think we're fucking pussies. And like we showed up there, and everyone's like, hey, what's up? Like everyone's very happy we're there, and like I think Deicide was the next dressing room. And they're like, oh, the health guys. I was like, those guys know who we are. That's tight, So
here
cool.
in the UK is a podcaster and someone that's always checking social media for bands.
Uh-huh.
You seem in the last 6 months that everyone's now starting to talk about you here in the UK. Like it's really kind of starting to really pick up, and I feel like Hellfer on everyone's mind. Like everyone's starting to hear you, and
I like that.
It feels good, man. It feels like
I'll take it. I love
some
it.
Exciting times ahead.
Yeah. I mean, we're having fun. I mean, this is the best time it's ever been to be in this band, and it's been a long time. So I can't complain.
And what's next for you guys? Have you got any plans to come back to the UK and do any solo shows?
Yeah. So we have UK shows held right now that Download didn't want us to announce until Download, and then
I see.
And now Download's sold out, so I can tell you now. So we're playing London, Manchester, I think Liverpool, and then Glasgow, and that's this fall.
That's this fall?
Yeah.
Wow, and you're allowed to announce it. I'm not going to put this out and get in trouble.
No. We're totally allowed now. I mean, fuck, the show's sold out, and
Yeah.
we're here. It's already happened. Download has happened, so yeah.
And are you going to get to enjoy other bands this weekend, or are you kind of to the point where you've got to come in and leave?
We're going to have to leave today after our set, but we play late. I usually always go around the fest. The only thing that stopped me here is it's very muddy, and these boots, I paid a lot of coin for these fucking boots. I don't know.
They're going to get trashed.
I know. I wanted to get some of those wellies, but I don't know where the fuck to buy them. I thought they'd sell them here.
What we should have done is started our own stall and just sold wellies, and I wouldn't need to do the podcast. You wouldn't need to do the band. Just £20 a pair.
I bet. I'd pay £40 right now.
£50.
Or I could buy 2 plastic bags.
Yeah, that's the cheaper option.
Yeah.
Are you going to get to stick around and watch Queens of the Stone Age tonight?
We're gonna ditch the traffic jam. I've seen them. I've seen them many times.
Yeah.
Actually know Troy pretty well.
Do you want to tell him to come on the podcast? That'd be really cool.
I could try.
I'd love that.
Yeah. All right.
If he's here, just say, Mark wants you on the podcast.
Sure.
That'd be good.
Okay.
And I'll buy you wellies if you make that happen.
All right. Yeah.
That seems like a good deal.
I'll throw it in there.
That seems like a good deal.
Yeah. If I bump into him.
What I do on the podcast, and it's my final question today, is to make it as original as I can. I am going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
You get to choose the music that's played after our interview, and it can be any song by any band that means a lot to you.
Okay.
You might have 1,000 songs in your head, but I need just one.
Okay.
Just one.
This is not the most. No, maybe I'll go a little more obscure. Well, we're in England. I really love one of my favorite artists of all time is the Gerudy column, and let's play. This is probably my favorite song about. This is what's gonna play at my funeral. It's a Sketch for Summer by the Gerudy column.
Your final song as you're going down.
As you're
that's the one.
lowering my ass, you're gonna hear this.
Mine is Jeff Buckley, Last Goodbye. So as I'm going down,
excellent choice.
That's the one.
Excellent choice.
But hopefully we won't die too soon. And then
Yeah. Well, I've always had this discussion. Everyone's like, "Nah, man, like do like the Simpsons theme, or do like fucking Seinfeld, something fucking hilarious," which would be fucking funny. But I would go the Gerudy column.
This is a morbid story, but I'm going to share it with you. When I was a kid, this is true. My friend died. Sad story, but there's a reason to this. Everyone thought he loved Bon Jovi. He hated them. He loved Green Day. He loved Bush. And when he died, at his funeral, they played Bon Jovi. And I never got the confidence. I was at school. I was I think I was about 12. I didn't want to tell his parents and his family that we're all suffering. He hated this band. And I always feel guilty to the day.
I have a lot of similar stories, and that's why you got to put this shit in writing. You got to tell people. Jake, my singer, his grandma died, and she really liked that R. Kelly song, "I Can Believe I Can Fly."
Yep.
So they played her. She's being buried, and it was right around the pee scandal and shit. And
Oh,
they were just
man.
oh fuck.
That's not what you want.
Wish it wasn't R. Kelly.
Yeah.
So you got to watch out for that.
So if I die and you see it and you're like, oh my God, I remember this guy interviewed me.
Yeah.
And they play Gary Glitter.
Yeah.
Just go in and change
Stop
it. Stop the show.
Fuck, I do love some Gary Glitter. You can play some Gary Glitter of mine. Sorry, I'm just a big fan.
Yeah.
It's just the music's too good. Sorry.
Okay, that's fair. But
hey!
But you didn't choose him as your final song.
No, I wouldn't. It'd be a little too funny.
Can't be that good.
I love that one song. It's like, do you want to be in my gang, my gang, my gang? It's great.
It's a good beat.
It's great. Oh, yeah. He's good.
He's been a bit of a wrong one over here, so people don't.
Yeah, I know. He's
Yeah.
Nah, not a good dude.
Well, ending on Gary Glitter, I hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah.
I appreciate everything, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
So that was my interview with Johnny from the amazing band Health, and a band that I urge you all to go and see when they play the UK later this year. They are absolutely phenomenal, and I've been listening to them so much over the last few days. Next up, and this was never a planned interview, it happened right in the moment backstage. There I was, standing around, seeing loads of bands doing various press. I saw that Royal Blood had come into the tent. Suddenly Ben was standing there, and I just thought, I'm going to ask him to come on the podcast. Told him about Mark and me. The next thing I know, he's sat on the couch with a mic in his hand, and we hit record. So it's one of the most spontaneous interviews I've ever done. There was no planning needed. It's one of my favourite bands out there, and this is a great interview. So here's me and Ben from Royal Blood. I'm here with Ben from Royal Blood. Welcome to the Mark and Me podcast.
Thank you. It's a lovely surprise. To be on with you.
For the
Thank
people,
you for having me.
For the people that are listening right now, this wasn't scheduled. It wasn't in the press.
I was just hanging about,
and it thought, hey, let's try and use the time productively.
That's it.
What I love to do with every guest that comes on the podcast is take it right back to the very start. And what I really am interested in is when you were a kid, what was that first CD that you remember buying that made you love music?
This is quite a one for Download Festival, but it was Aquarium.
Wow.
Yeah, Barbie Girl, Dr. Jones.
Was that it? I can't think of any more songs than Aqua. I could think of two.
I could name you all the album if you want. Candyman, In the Heat of the Night.
Get to 5.
My Oh My.
Wow. He's not lying.
Yeah.
This is the one. I was not expecting that, and I don't think many people at Download are.
No. But that was like one of the. I was really into pop music growing up.
Yeah.
I think it was just on top of the pops. I was into songs and then later heard bands like Nirvana.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Aqua to Nirvana.
Aqua to Nirvana. That's my path. Yeah. Which makes me so unique.
Yes.
But yeah, it was. I think as a drummer, I'm really into my rock music.
Yeah.
Sing like Dave Grohl playing Taylor Hawkins and people like that. They were big inspirations, I guess.
There's something incredible there. I mean, it changed for me. I'm 42, so I'm showing my age. But one of the first bands I ever saw was Green Day on their Dookie tour.
Yep.
And I saw them in Wolverhampton, and it blew my mind that 3 people were making that much noise on stage.
Uh-huh.
What was that first live band? Maybe it was Aqua, but what was that first live gig you went to where you thought, I want to do that. I want to do this for the rest of my life?
Yeah, good question. I think the first concert that I went to was Linkin Park.
Oh, wow.
At the Docklands Arena.
That's incredible, dude.
And that was the first time I was really into Hybrid Theory when it came out. And I guess that record really marks the start of new metal for me.
Yeah.
And I was just really into that. Saw them guys play, and that's when I knew.
They knew how to put on a show as well. Like Chester Bennington as a frontman, like even if you don't love the music, you absorb to just watching him perform.
Yeah, absolutely. And they turned me onto the Corns and the Limp Bizkits and all of that American stuff, the American new metal coming out. So, and I think that really shaped me as a teenager, listening to that music.
With Royal Blood, genuinely, hand on my heart, these guys will back me up. I've been a fan since the first EPs, and I thought, how the fuck are these two making so much noise for 2 of you? I never could get my head around the power, and obviously the bass guitar filled the noise of a guitar as well. It always sounded like there's nothing lacking. The dynamics of this band is absolutely blowing my mind.
Yeah.
And I wondered, like, was there ever that discussion when you started out, like, how are we going to make sure we can fill a stage when there's only 2 of us?
Yeah, I guess we'd been in many bands before that had more people in it. But when Mike was playing and he was making the sound so full, like it made it sound like 3 guitars, and a bass. We knew we had something there, and I think that we seen bands like the White Stripes and Death from Above.
I fucking love Death from Above.
Yeah, they're
what a band.
But other 2-piece bands that can hold a stage, and I think we felt like we could do that as well.
With you as a band as well, with each album, I feel that you progress and evolve as musicians. Your dynamics change, you're adding maybe a keyboard, so when I've seen you live, it's definitely taken up a lot. Do you put the pressure on yourselves to try and never just repeat the same thing? Are you always looking to kind of do that kind of dynamic of 2, but always evolve to try and make Royal Blood that next chapter? Absolutely.
I think as people, I think we all evolve anyway in our everyday lives, and I think it's important to show that with your music. We don't want to be doing the same. We don't want to be writing the same songs, or we've got lots in us that we haven't even shown. On the latest album, Mike's playing a lot of the keys parts, and there was stuff that we really restricted from the first 2 records, and then the 3rd record we went a little bit disco, French. We're influenced by like the French like disco music and like
I felt like I could dance a lot more. I saw you at Nottingham Rock City on that tour, and I was like, I'm not jumping around as much. I want to dance more.
Yeah, we have a flavour for all.
Yeah.
But I think we're still developing as musicians and still working out what Royal Blood is. I think Royal Blood is whatever Mike and I decide to do together, and it's always going to have that heavy riff rock to it, but it's also we can branch out and challenge our listeners every now and again.
How does it feel to be at Download? I know you guys are friends now with Queens of the Stone Age. You've done tours in America, all over Europe. You guys must be like the perfect warm-up band for Queens of the Stone Age. Like, you two go so well together.
We love those boys. We get up to a lot of mischief. We I think just our 2 bands together, we just have so much fun. There's a chemistry between us. We joke that we want to be in the same band together. Just add me and Mike on. But those guys they're the best band, man. They're so cool on and off stage. Yeah,
that's good to hear.
Download's in for a treat tonight.
Yeah, I can't wait. And do you feel like, and just please be honest with me, do you get nervous still? Because you feel like you've done every big gig. You've been in America. You've filled out arenas. Is there still that point where you're like, your heart races before you go on stage, or are you just like, I can do this now?
Never really been that nervous, but there's an excitement to walking on stage, and I guess a little bit of a nervous energy.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen in that hour that we play, but we'll see how it goes.
And is tonight all about just hitting the single one after another, getting the hits out there, and just having a really good time and making everybody get warmed up and moving?
It's about having a good time today. It's about celebrating rock music.
I've been told we've got 1 minute left, so my final question, what I do on the podcast is to make it as original as I can.
Okay.
The guest gets to choose the final song that's played on the end of the podcast.
Okay.
It can be any song by any band. I'm putting you on the spot. I know that's cruel, but what is a song that means a lot to you that will play out after Mark and Ben talk Royal Blood?
Wow. It's got to be, we just talked about them, Queens of the Stone Age, Go With The Flow.
Wow. That is the ultimate. That's going to finish the episode because I can't top that.
There we go. No one can top that.
Thank you for coming on, dude, and I really appreciate this.
Nice one, man.
Thank you, man. So that was my final interview from this first part of my Download special. And what a great way to end with Ben from Royal Blood. One of the performances of the weekend. My God, considering they're only a two-piece, they filled the main stage with their sound and blew most of the other bands off there. It was unbelievable. And I was just so grateful to see them before Queens of the Stone Age. Well, I think that brings us to the end overall of this first part special, and I really hope you've enjoyed the Callous Daoboys, Health and Royal Blood. This is only the first part of a 5-part series, so tomorrow there's going to be 3 brand new interviews coming your way. Now, I'm not going to use each and every episode to thank every single person that helped me at Download Festival. It would take me hours, so I'm going to do little bits over the next 5 days. Today's episode, I really want to say a massive thank you to Hayley, Matt and Holly from the Good as Gold group. Those are the guys that helped me get these bands on the podcast. They've been such a huge, huge reason that the podcast has been this successful. And I just want to say a huge thanks to all 3 of them for helping these bands come on today's episode. Without these guys, I genuinely wouldn't be half the podcast I am today. Also, I hope everyone's enjoyed today's podcast. If you're new to Mark and Me and you've only just discovered this because of Download Festival, I don't just do festivals, I interview actors, directors, musicians, bands, you name it. There's 350 plus episodes available for you now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Amazon Music. So I really hope you dive in and find something that you absolutely love. If you've enjoyed today's episode and all the episodes coming up this week, please guys, share this. It's really great for me to see so many people enjoying these interviews, and I really hope that loads of new people jump on board following the Download Festival. And if you've really enjoyed today's episode, why not go on markandme.com and sign up on Patreon? It's the way that this podcast can keep going, and all the money that comes in on Patreon basically pays for this podcast to be hosted on Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and let me travel to festivals and gigs to record these episodes for you guys at home. Also, in return for signing up on Patreon, I make sure everyone gets a big thank you by getting a welcome pack which includes stickers, badges, newsletters, episodes that are exclusive to Patrons, and so much more. Now I'm going to go and say a massive thank you one more time for taking the time to listen to today's episode. It's only going to be 24 hours until you get the second part, and honestly, the week ahead is going to be wild. So until then, look after yourself, take care, and I'll speak to you all very soon.